Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton, and today we are back in the Brock Bourbon Bar, and we're going to have a fall cocktail.
Fall cocktail.
Fall cocktail.
Is it really fall? I guess it's been down in the 80s and 70s recently, so I guess it's approching it. It's
technically,
not 90s.
the equinox was last week,
Yeah.
so we are technically in fall.
And Halloween decorations are up, so...
No. If you've been to Sam's recently, they already had their Christmas decorations up.
There are places that have Christmas up already, for sure.
Up?
Yes. Up.
They're mentally ill then.
I don't disagree
Halloween
with
is
you.
the greatest season of the year.
Halloween is awesome.
Yes.
Listen, I'm still a nerd. I still love Thanksgiving, right? Like,
Absolutely.
there's no real decorating. I mean, I guess there's some probably old lady decorations that go up, but
Your generic pumpkins.
yeah,
and
stuff like that. But
turkeys.
That's what I always liked about
the
Thanksgiving.
cornucopias.
Well, that's only what I loved about Thanksgiving was that your jack-o'-lanterns, you could just turn them around, and now they're prepped for Thanksgiving because
Right.
you don't have the faces.
If
aren't
they
facing
live
out
that
anymore.
long.
If they live that long. That's
Most
right.
of them turn to mush.
They're
by
not
the
a
time.
rotting pile of
Yeah.
garbage on the sidewalk.
But you got gourds, cornucopias,
Gourds will
all the
last a
stuff.
while,
Right? Yeah.
yeah.
But but I love Thanksgiving because it's probably my favorite meal of the year.
Yes.
So that's kind of my thing. So
But this cocktail will last all season long.
all season long.
Yes.
I think it even has enough of those little spices and things like that I think it will go right into Christmas, and then we'll think of something new for New Year's. But
the one thing is that once we can get it a little bit later, we can find out if this will be good warm. Because if you can get that warmth, that'll last through.
oh, absolutely! I bet you could probably make it almost like those little apple wassa type things. Wassail. Wassail. Listen, y'all make fun of me all you want. I have no idea.
The only reason why I say that is because Barbara was in Madrigals, and so I got to hear that every bleeping year.
Gotcha. I hear you. Well, anyway,
Proud German heritage Carl would get on us.
absolutely,
all for saying it.
100%. So anyway, this is what. So this drink was inspired, and I kind of took my own liberties and spin on it. But was inspired by a cocktail that I had up in Indianapolis a couple of weekends ago. But I'm just going to call it the apple pie old fashioned. So
I would say it's very appropriately named, at least from just smelling it right offhand.
Right.
It's very appley with like hints of like cinnamon nutmeg in it.
Yep. So I think their original recipe, when I was talking to the guy, it was like a little bit of apple juice. It had maple syrup. It had a dash of cinnamon. It had some angostura bitters, and they kind of mixed it up, and they made it with bourbon. I mean, you know me, I'm a rye guy, so I had to start tweaking it a little bit. So what I did was, instead of like apple juice and cinnamon and all those other things, I made my own simple syrup too. So I did a simple syrup, and I called it my apple pie simple syrup. So it's basically a cup of brown sugar, a cup of apple cider, and a teaspoon of vanilla. And I bring it to a boil. I let it simmer for about 5 to 6 minutes, let it cool, and then jarred it up and put it in the fridge. So I'm actually using it for coffee too, which makes a fantastic coffee. So oddly enough, this thing's been like doing everything in my house lately.
That might take over the pumpkin spice lattes
Yeah, absolutely.
that are going on.
So, but
that actually reminds me of something that was a tradition in our house that we for the past couple of years. We'll usually warm up some apple cider, but we'll then mix it with some actual the Old Smoky salted caramel or the
yes.
Crown Royal salted caramel.
Yeah.
And just warm that up, and then on a winter's day, it's delicious.
So that's kind of what inspired this. So this is actually one part apple cider. Mm-hmm. It's one part the simple syrup that I made, and then basically 2 parts of the rye. So,
Right.
I like the ratios.
So
We
comes out being about 50-50.
And the thing is, we didn't use a special rye. It's just normal rye you can find anywhere, just 100 proof rye.
100 proof rye. That's right. So
Cheers, boys.
cheers. Salud. Man, I just love the nose on this thing.
Oh, it's delicious.
So
it gives you that nice subtle warmth. I mean, this is with ice.
Yep.
It's kind of cool already, but even though that a little bit of that rye is kind of cutting through or at least the liquor
Right.
is going right through, and you just get that just really slight warmth as it goes down, and it's really interesting feeling.
Yep.
I'm definitely getting that Cracker Barrel style spiced apples.
Yep.
But man, that's tasty.
Oh.
That rye just kind of comes and then mellows out.
Yeah. No.
So well.
Like I said, I really, really enjoyed that piece of it. And honestly, rye has a little bit of spice. So it kind of, to me, it married better with this because of the cinnamon and the nutmeg and all the things you get from the apple cider, and then the simple syrup that I made. So it gives you like these little touches of everything.
That simple syrup was it looked thicker than sometimes.
So I always reduce mine.
Is that a brown sugar thing versus a granulated sugar thing?
So yes, it's brown sugar. Also, it's not water, right? A typical simple syrup would be water. I used actual apple cider. But like I said, I bring it to a boil. Then I lower it to a simmer and let it simmer for 5 to 10 minutes, so it really, really thickens up.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's got a couple of dashes of cinnamon in it, but other than that, I mean, it's there.
Now, one thing I would recommend on this for our listeners, if you do try to choose a rye, get one that is more baking spice flavored than your floral.
Right.
Because I think a floral would kind of be more of a contrast with this.
It'd be competing with the apple, and I don't.
Yes.
Knob Creek, Rittenhouse. There's a lot of different ryes. Old Forester rye. All those would be nice little baking spice, not floral.
Yeah.
And I think they would just marry with it really, really well.
But nothing too high proofed either, because then you're going to lose some of those spicy flavors.
Yep. No, 100%. So, what do you think, man? I mean, is it missing anything? Is there something else we should do to tweak this bad boy? Do you like it just like it is? And listen, I'm open to criticism. You know me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I don't have any left anyway.
On this one, I'm really curious how it would be hot.
Yeah.
I think that would make it.
Like I said, I
better.
thought about that whole like I said, whatever the word is, wassail, wassail, whistle, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I thought about that aspect of it, like in the like Christmas time, like put and then throw maybe an extra cinnamon stick or two in there. I'm all about it.
You could even do like a ginger at Christmas time.
Yeah, maybe add a little ginger.
Do a little bit of that.
Yep. Maybe you could like do like part of the apple pie simple and then part like maybe like make my own ginger simple.
Do a 2-part syrup.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was about to say the two things you could do is I'm going to take one of your ideas is if you have like gingerbread cookies, crush a little bit of it, rim the glass.
Oh, there you go.
Or if for this case, like just some maybe graham crackers and
go.
rim the glass with it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm picking up what y'all are putting down. I like it.
Little, what do they call
that's taking it up a notch. Because, I mean, you doing the simple syrup specialty, takes it up a little bit of a notch. And just, there's a couple of notches you can go to make this like a out-of-the-park
a little dehydrated apple.
Yeah.
Slice right in there.
Yeah. Yeah, you can even do like just like a little apple slice and just cut it and put it on the top. Yep. You can.
I think flavor-wise, though, it's really solid.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
It doesn't have like that competing. The simple syrup's not overtaking the bourbon or the rye whiskey, and the rye whiskey's not overtaking the simple syrup.
It's pretty well balanced. That's what I said. When I did it, I just kind of messed with it a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this over. I'm going to see what they think. I thought it was fairly well balanced. And like I said, I made it with rye the very first time, and I liked the way it was. And I was like, man, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to put bourbon. Even though I think a really, really high bourbon could really stand up to it as well. But just something about rye and the spice that comes from rye that kind of hangs in there.
Yeah, I think you could probably get up to like maybe about 110, 115. Because, I mean, as I'm drinking it right now, as I'm drinking more and more of that first pull, I got a little bit of that warmth. But since then, it's like going, am I really tasting it? Or at least feeling that alcohol in there. So it's melding with it very well to where you're not really detecting it.
I also love this because I think this could be like liquid panty dropper. I think this is something that ladies can drink and be like, damn, that's really good.
You could shoot this
for
very easily.
Yeah.
And that would be popular with the ladies.
Yep. So, like I said, I was pretty impressed with myself. I don't try to mess with cocktails too much. I leave that to Barbara and Sarah and all the folks in our crew that are specialized in that. Johnny Tsunami over here, he makes some fantastic cocktails. So,
hey, whenever you get struck by inspiration, sometimes you just have to strike.
I did, I really did. I was totally struck by inspiration. I tried it, and I was like, you know what would make this really good? And then I was like thinking all these things, and like I said, and I started making my own simple syrups. And then I was like, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make my own apple pie syrup. And Becky's like, why are you gonna do that? And I'm like, I don't know. So I just started reading up apple pie syrup, and then I found out that Starbucks, oddly enough, has a apple strudel oat milk drink that comes out this time of year, and it's usually only out for like 2 or 3 weeks, and they sell out of it. Well, sure enough, one of the copycats was a recipe that's very similar to the one I ran. So.
Gotcha. And by the way, I have to thank you for having more of those coffee things on my bar after you talked to Barbara.
You're welcome. So I will say, I an unsolicited plug here. We have switched from Monin for most of our syrups to a company called 22, which is Delano's coffee roasters. They're so much more rich flavor. Like, it's crazy. You know, their peach is phenomenal. I've been making like peach sweet tea. Good Lord.
That sounds good.
It's freaking amazing. So anyway.
I'm glad you used cider instead of just apple juice as well on this
So
one.
to me, you know, spices can get away real easily, right?
Yeah.
So if you find a cider that you like, you kind of already know what that flavor is, what that spice is. So you don't have to mess with it as much. So for me, it was real simple. And then the simple syrup, like I said, I literally put like 2 dashes or 3 dashes of cinnamon in there. Mm-hmm. And I used a Mexican cinnamon. It does have maybe a little bit more bite to it than what a typical cinnamon would have. But outside of that, I mean, everything was pretty much, you know, standard stuff, you know, vanilla, you know, your brown sugar. And like I said, I like brown sugar just in general. Like, even when I make my regular simple syrups, I use brown sugar versus white sugar. It just gives it a more rich flavor.
I'm going to rate this cauldron worthy.
Cauldron worthy. There we go.
Cauldron-worthy,
There we go. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So you're saying the boss lady would like it?
Yes. Boss lady would enjoy it.
100%. Good deal.
I even think Morgan would, once she exits said baby into the world.
Yeah.
Then she might enjoy it.
We're not supposed to tell people about that, man.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Fuck you. Everybody knows about that. Goddamn, Scott, stop my fucking heart. I'm like treading on ice water right now, trying not to say the wrong thing.
Fair enough.
Fucker.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Shut up, Nick.
Nick's got him. Got him. Got him. Got him. Anyway,
Carl and Jared are gone, so I'm the whipping boy post haste now.
listen, you're always kind of the whipping boy. Let's be honest. You're just funnier than they are most of the time.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll say some goofy stuff. I appreciate it.
You'll roll with the jokes.
Like cauldron worthy.
Cauldron worthy, exactly. Breaking out your Harry Potter isms here.
Speaking of, cheers to Dumbledore.
Oh,
He passed
that's right.
away
Cheers to
today.
Dumbledore.
Rip Dumbledore.
Oh, if we're gonna talk about deaths, I hate to do it, but cheers to my close friend Mike Wolf. He passed away about a week and a half ago down in Florida at the ripe age of 47. So I hate to see it, man. But pros to
Mike.
those. Cheers to those guys.
And anyone else.
Well, I think that's our episode of Bourbon Barrel Talk this time. The apple pie cocktail. If you want the recipe, send me a DM, message me on Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter. You can email me at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. If you want to get our episodes, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way you can get it on Spotify or iTunes, whichever one you prefer. This is Scott, Nick, and Johnny Tsunami signing off. Peace.
Fly high.